In a previous video, I showed you how to make a wiring harness for your Tortoise switch with this connector here and this terminal block right here. And in that video, I talked about using a Cat 5 cable to run that back to your control panel. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how to use a RJ45 wall jack on there so you could run your Cat 5 cable back to your control panel to operate your Tortoise switch machines, or even your Cobalt switch machines if you want to do it that way. You could also hook up a Cat 5 cable to any other thing. So let's get going with that right now. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. We're going to talk about some Cat 5 cable today. We're going to hook it up on our harness right here. What I used before on my project was 4 twisted pairs telephone station wire. We could use Cat 5 cable also on this because it's 8 conductor. It just has different wire colors on there. Now my old station wire has all solid colors on there. On the Cat 5 cable, you have a solid color and a white with a tracer of that color. So we'll show you how to hook up the connectors and we'll test it. And we'll do it on a short piece of Cat 5 cable, and we'll do it on a 25-foot or longer piece of Cat 5 cable to see if we have any voltage drop or performance issues on the longer cable. Since I'm using 2 different types of cables on there, on the cable that I'm normally using is solid colors. So I have white, yellow, green, red, orange, brown, blue, and black going from pins 1 through 8. And up here, this is the configuration of my RJ45. So the pin out on here is 5, 4, 3, 6 on one side and 1, 2, 7, 8 on the other side. So what I'm going to do is put the white, yellow, blue, black, orange, red, green, and brown on it like that. So it's a good idea to make up a little chart for you. This is how the wires are going to go. So I'll just place this right here like that. And we're just going to drop these wires in here. I'm just going to push them in like this. And then I have a little tool that I could push them down a little bit further. So this is orange on this side, red, green, and brown. So now that we got them in there, most of the times when you get this, you're going to come and get a tool like this, and what you do is you just push each one of these down like that. Okay, and then I'll put this up here where you can see it a little bit closer. You take this and put this in the slot and just push this down on the wire, so the wire goes all the way down in the slot, and there's blades in there that makes contact and strips the insulation and makes contact with the wire just like that. And then what you do now is just take your diagonal pliers and just snip off the excess. And what I'm going to do is just go again and just push it down in there just to make sure on all 8 wires. And now all we have to do is work on the other side. I'll put the white in there. And make sure you got your wires long enough. Now we got them, and what I'll do is I'll just measure these. The yellow goes over here, and I'll do the rest of these off camera so you don't have to watch me stripping and doing this to all the wires on here. All right, there's the finished product right there. I got all the wires in there on my terminal strip. Now, if I didn't have this terminal strip already, I would have just taken this wall connector and connected it right to here. But since I'm going to be testing it and I'm going to be putting the meter on here, that's why I still have it on the strip. I stripped both ends of the wire. I took about 1.5 to 2 inches so you could see that they are 4 twisted pairs. You got the blue, the brown, the orange, and the green. And on this side over here, I separated them. Now, you're always going to have the brown and the white and brown on the one end, and then the blue and the white and blue in the center. Now, there's two different types of connections. There's a 568A and a 568B, and all the ones that I've seen use the B color code. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut off all but about 1/2 inch, and then try to straighten these out a little bit and put it on this connector here. And when you put it on the connector, you're using this side here where you see all the pins on it, not the part where the clip is. You want to put it on like this. What I do on here is I cut them down to about 1/2 inch and try to get them as straight as possible. Now I'm not going to remove my thumb here because that'll get them out of order. So, turn this around. And it should fit in right there. And what I do before I crimp it, I go and I make sure. So I should have orange tracer, orange, green tracer, blue, blue tracer, green, brown tracer, and brown. Okay, so now I got all of them in the correct place. And you can see on the crimping tool, this is for 6 conductor and that one's for 8 conductor. So you see this side right here is where you crimp down on, and you could see the little teeth that come up that press down on the pins in there. So you got it inserted and you squeeze till it clicks and you release it. So there's the other one, and I'll do the other side of it. All right, I have the same thing on the opposite side just to double check it. All the wires in place and flat, and I straighten them out as much as possible and stick it up in there as far as it'll go. Stick the cable in there. Make sure it's in, push on the cable and squeeze down on it. Okay. And trying to get the little clip on there. So we have us a long cable. I'm not sure how long this is, but I'll measure it. And we'll use this for testing a long distance on the layout to see if we have any problems with the switch machines functioning. I want to give you an example of the differences in these connectors. This one, the pin, you know, the way that you push your wires into it for the pins. This one is arranged 2, 1, 3, 5, and this one is 1, 2, 3, 6. So you have to pay close attention to what you're doing when you're doing that. Even though these are probably the same manufacturer, they changed the position of the wires in the back where you push them in. I'm going to take a really old patch cable, and this one's about, I estimate this about five foot long. No good, so I'm just going to clip the ends off of it and use this for my wall socket here. I have the other one made up. I didn't cut the last 4 off of it. They come in a strip of 12, so I have 4 extra ones on here. But I'm just going to go down the line to make sure that we have a good connection. I have a new connector here, a new connector here. This is a patch cable that I got. Okay, here's the cable that I just made up that's plugged in here and on that terminal board right here. So we're just going to go down the line and check for continuity. And what I'll do is I'll put the audible one. There we go. First one, second one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if you're going to be making up cables, it would be a good idea to make up a test piece like this with terminal strips on each side. So all you have to do is the cables that you're making up, that you could test them on there to make sure that your wiring is good on there. Now we could test out the switch machines. We're going to test this out. I have it hooked up to 12 volts. I have my terminal strip right here. This is approximately a 6-foot cable right here, and we're going to test it out first with just to make sure that the switch machine works. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the longer cable on there that I just made up. Now I have it hooked up to this cable right here. Now that's a lot of resistance going through 24 gauge wire. So let's see how this functions. And it still looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the meter on over here, 11.86. Now let me put it over here on here through 25 to 30 foot, 11.83. So we lost about 0.03 of a volt on there. Okay, then switch this over, and it's just going to change to a minus. 11.83. And you could see while it's operating, it went back up to 11.86 and dropped down to 11.82 here. Now let's see what it does close up. Now this is right at the power source, right behind the switch. So we're starting out at 11.86, and we'll see what happens when we operate. So it goes up about 1/100th to 11.87. But that is pretty good. We didn't lose that much voltage, so I'm satisfied with that. If you like what you see here and you are learning from the videos that I produce here, go ahead on over to my Patreon page where you can pledge as little as $1 so you could help out in my efforts to produce more videos to teach you about beginning your model railroad. So thank you very much. Well, I'm totally satisfied with the results of this test today using the Cat 5 cable, the cable that I made up. If we could just get a manufacturer to make a breakout board where we could put one of these connectors on here and have a wall jack on the other side, that would be wonderful. That way all we'd have to do is plug it in and plug a Cat 5 cable in there that we make and run it to our control panel. And that's what I am going to do on my layout, because this test that I did was successful. That's the main reason that I wanted to see if we would have any problem with the Tortoise Switch Machine running it through a long length of Cat 5 cable. The Cobalt Classic Omega. Now, what did they do? They added another pin on it for your signaling. So that has 9 pins on it now. A Cat 5 cable only has 8. So you wouldn't be able to do it on this version of the Cobalt Classic Omega. On the original one, you would, because there's 8 pins on there. But as far as this one here, you wouldn't be able to use pin number 3, which they have as a signaling pin. So there you go. From the test and a little demonstration that I did today, making up the Cat 5 cables and the other end with the wall socket on there, I hope you really learned something on it. I did, and I am satisfied with the test that I did today on there. Oh, about a month or 2 ago, they started the Amazon influencer. They opened it up to a lot of more creators, and I applied for it, and they turned me down then. But I just got an email a couple of days ago that I was accepted into the Amazon influencer program. So I will have my own page of items that I could sell on there from Amazon. And I also applied for Amazon merch where they could make t-shirts that I design. Look for that in the future, in the near future. By the end of this week, I should know about the page where I'm selling merchandise, and a little bit later on about my own merchandise, my own t-shirts. So we'll see.